We're back, everybody. Waterbox Live.
He's beating up the table here.
If you haven't already, punch that like button.
We're aggressive today.
Yes.
Right?
Hit the subscribe button and its best friend, the notification bell, right to the right of it. And
I don't know why it cracks me up so easily, but it does. All right. You don't want to miss anything.
It's your turn.
It is. So we are back on our fully aquacultured ORA system. A couple weeks ago, we moved it into the 4-foot peninsula. And last week, we added a couple of new fish to it. Everything's going great. Time to add some more coral. We're going to talk a bit about coral nutrition as well.
Cool.
All right, let's get started. All right, we're back. I got it figured out, I think. I think I'm good. Okay.
We're good, you guys.
We're back. Make sure you engage in the comments, ask questions. We will doing questions later in the show. Answer people's questions, make some friends, chit chat. What you doing for dinner? How's your week going? Because being active in the comments is what you have to do.
Yeah. Build an aquarium in the comments. Okay, that's what I want them to do.
What does that mean?
A to Z.
A to Z? I don't understand.
Meaning like, what lighting are you using? What aquarium are you using? What water box are you using?
Share all the details about your thing. So talk about whatever. Yeah. And being active in the comments will get you. We're giving away 2 Waterbox Aquarium shirts today. Super comfortable, tri-blend. You'll love it. So definitely make sure you're active. And also you have to have liked the stream to get a shirt as well.
Yep.
So if you haven't heard, you're missing out. But we have a thing going on, Adventures of Gary. And it's the coolest thing ever. So we have, you can go online.
What's the URL, Keenan?
It's going to be waterboxaquariums.com/Gary.
Okay. You guys head over to waterboxaquariums.com/Gary. We're doing the Adventures of Gary. So
He's been busy.
Yes, he's been very busy. The submissions are great. So basically, you can download a cutout version of Gary, which is the world's largest trochus snail, and then send him on his travels. Photoshop him into, different locations, et cetera, and we're actually going to judge these photos and pick a winner.
Yeah, so you'll see there's quite a few very unique ones in here. And people have been having a lot of fun with this. So definitely, go ahead and pick a couple. We got Gary bungee jumping. So, I mean, he's very adventurous of a snail right here. Man, he's traveling all the way over to Northern Lights, seeing that. I haven't even seen that. Go, Gary. Oh, he's mad. Don't clean the front glass. So there's a lot of great ones in here. Even SpongeBob. This is Gary.
With the real Gary, yeah.
Yeah, the real Gary. He didn't have the fake one. Yeah. So have fun with it. This one, that one's funny.
What does it say?
You should buy another Waterbox tank now.
So he's a little pushy, I see.
It's very aggressive.
He's cleaning Disney for them. Gotta love that. He's doing a great job. Look how dirty that castle is. And the globe. What is that one? Space Mountain? I don't even know.
What is it?
Spaceship Earth. It's been a long time since I've been to Disney.
Yeah.
So
to enter, they just got to enter the contest right here.
Yep, so enter, you take that cutout, do whatever, Gary, enter your contest here. You have another week until roughly a week, a little bit less than a week to get your submissions in. We'll pick a winner with a really cool Waterbox swag bag of goodies. Yeah. So, and you're making us laugh every day, so it's great.
Yeah, I love
Absolutely great. A lot of these go into like our company team chat. Yeah. Everyone gets to see them. So definitely, in the next week, get all your submissions in for that. It's really fun.
Cool.
And if you don't know, Gary is a ginormous trochus snail who's probably like 100 years old that came from ORA. And he started in the build when we did that probably 2-3 months ago. And I have to say, so ORA sent us a card. And I think it's their own DIY version of Gary's travels. So I don't know if you can see that very well. I guess he's hushing the Gary or something. I don't even really know, but it's adorable. So they're playing in on it too. They put a lot of effort into that one.
I already forgot the guy's name. What's the guy? Yeah, Jeff Goldblum,
Jeff
is
Goldblum.
the one shushing
He's
Gary.
shushing Gary. So
Maybe they're in here with us and they can tell us the meaning.
yeah, a lot of times Donna isn't here. I'm not sure if she is joining this week or not, but if so, I'm sure she'll put some info
Elaborate.
in there. And anyway, so we are going to put some corals into the ORA build. They shipped them to us today. But first, we'll talk a little bit about feeding your corals. Corals have different nutritional needs. Different types of corals are going to eat different size of food and have a different method. So just to kind of like a quick rundown, we're going to actually feed a couple of them in the tank. But you have your groups of corals, soft corals. They have no calcium flesh, polypy, no calcium skeleton. They're off flesh. They're very polypy. Generally, these guys are going to mostly filter feed. This includes leathers, mushrooms, zoanthids, star polyps, all your favorite things.
Yes.
And these generally are going to filter feed a zooplankton type of diet. They don't have large mouths. They usually can't take big chunks of food. Mushrooms are one of the exceptions to it because they can usually take like mysis and stuff. But as a general rule, they're going to feed off light, fish waste because they like some nitrates, and then just a zooplankton, really small particle food that they're going to filter out of the water.
Okay.
So you've also then got LPS, which is where they got the calcium skeleton, but they're fleshy, torches, hammers, bubbles, chalices, donut and meat corals. Now they range a lot from like filter feeding small stuff, but a lot of them are going to be able to feed stuff like mysis shrimp or larger chunks of krill. You'll see depending on the size of their mouth. Like one of them is Duncans we're going to feed. The Duncans feed so well. They're easy to spot feed. They like big chunks of food. So usually, majority of LPS, you can actually spot feed meatier foods. With sometimes like small chalices are going to have a hard time with anything big, but they can still actually eat.
Cool.
SPS, they're like small polyps, full coral skeleton, very fine filter feeders. You know, there are some things like fish eggs or the polyp poppers from rods that are small enough for their polyps to catch that are a little bit meatier, but for the most part, talking like amino acids and like a zooplankton liquid diet. So you do want to make sure that you're feeding the right food, and if the corals are going to be healthier by physical spot feeding, a lot of LPS are like that, is you want to make sure you actually are spot feeding them probably at least once a week to ensure that they're growing, they're happy. You will see a lot of recession in some of your bigger, meatier corals, like Signorininas and meat corals and stuff like that will actually kind of not do well if they're not getting enough meaty food.
That's one thing that I was not fully aware of until you started. So I started working with you really closely was how demanding some of those corals are for food. So it's pretty cool.
Treating them all the same doesn't usually work. They got their own needs. So kind of knowing when you get a coral, ask how it's fed, what its best, routine is for feeding, what types of food, how often. Usually be able to get a lot of guidance there to make sure that they're not starving them out, which you actually can do for a fish, for a coral, no matter how much light and fish food and fish waste you have in your tank. So we're actually going to go to the ORA Peninsula, show you a couple different types of corals we have, how we feed them, and then we're going to go ahead and get those corals in from ORA.
Cool. If you guys have questions about ORA or the corals we're putting in here or Waterbox or whatever, post them below and we will try to get to them here at the closer to the end of the stream during our Q&A. I did see Kat says her daughter's watching. She loves your little Nemo. So hello to Kat and your daughter. And there you go.
All right.
The live Peninsula 4820.
Yep. So turning off the power head as well as the return pump. If you're spot feeding corals, you definitely want to shut the flow off. It's going to make it easier for them to eat, especially if you're spot feeding bigger chunks of food. But first thing we're going to do is actually just spot feed our liquid zooplankton diet. This is a zooplankton powdered food. Mix a little bit of like your polyp poppers in there. But this is going to be mostly for soft corals and LPS that need smaller food but aren't going to eat the bigger chunks of stuff. One of my favorite corals is Goniopora. One requirement of Goniopora is that they do need heavy feeding. They're only going to eat a diet like this. They cannot take in big chunks of food. So when you're feeding their tank, you want to make sure, so here's our red goniapora, is I'm letting the food just drop onto its polyps real gently, because you don't want to like scare the coral in. And you see your fish will help you with this process so much. So these guys, they really need this specialized feeding. Here's another goniapora we have down here. They will not grow, and they're going to have a lower success rate when you don't give them that like saturated feeding. And you can do the same thing for like your SPS corals, because they take small stuff. I think a lot of times SPS is just going to be more of a grab it from the water column, amino acids kind of thing. But now, I mean, you can definitely put it, because once you kick the pump on, anything excess is going to just kind of kick around and get filter feed out by, I leave filter feeding to like leathers and stuff. I don't go in and really spot feed them. They grow plenty fine on their own. But like zoanthids, there you go. So see, here's some zoos. They can eat slightly bigger stuff, but you're better off using a smaller diet. Let it just fall in their polyps. And a lot of times, like with soft corals, they'll be fine if you don't necessarily spot feed them. Here we have a leather.
If you guys are into photographing your aquarium, this is the best time to do it. When the pumps are off.
Yes, absolutely.
Even if you're feeding and the polyps and the feeder tentacles are out, it's a really cool time to do it.
So all your smallmouth stuff, gonioporas, calluses, SPS, can all take a smaller, fine food like this, and you're just going to let it kind of settle on them. They have very small mouths, so you don't really see them eating much, but you want to give them time to kind of take it in, because they do have the mouth, it's just really small. And then next, we're going to have stuff that has a bigger mouth and ability to eat. So these are one of the corals I was saying up here in the front. These are Duncan corals. These things love to eat, and they will reward you with tons of growth and little babies. We're using Pacific plankton from Ron's food, a nice meaty shrimp. And I'm just letting it fall onto their tentacles. I love feeding Duncans because they have one of the best feeding responses. And you don't have to get every single head, but just kind of evenly spread it around. Now remember, when you're feeding corals, this does count as waste into the aquarium, so don't feel like you need to be doing this every day. Once a week is usually good, because you will, A, not give them enough time to fully digest properly, but also create a lot of waste in your tank. And you see, they're going to close up around there, and they'll actually eat pretty quickly. So like here we have a bubble coral, and they do have mouths in here, and sometimes you'll see little sweeper feeder tentacles. They don't always take like a meatier food, but sometimes they will. So I always give it a little chance, sit on there, see if they want to take it. But then of your LPS, like bigger polyp, you've got hammers. These have individual heads in here, which also all have mouths. So you can kind of just spread. And this is the same with like torches, frog spawns, and hammers. They do have individual mouths that can take some food in. So you can really just sprinkle kind of on top, and they'll take it with their tentacles. And your fish will steal much of your food. Doesn't matter if you feed them before, it doesn't matter. Trying to
It's cool,
see
Keenan, I don't know if you can zoom in on that, but you can actually see the feeder, the tentacles having a response to those little shrimp. It just like yolks them in. It's pretty cool.
Trying to see if the
I'm just seeing that little crab just like go to town.
Yeah, the inverts will go crazy.
Yeah, everyone gets some extra good feeding when you do. Oh, he's up on there. He's like, you're not eating zoanthids, I am. I'm trying to see, let me scoot behind her if the candy cane is open for feeding. Yeah, so by sensing some of the food in the water, somewhat of a harder coral to get to open and feed sometimes is actually your candy canes or trumpet corals. So this colony here, actually, by having a little bit of feeding response from the powdered food and sensing, is a little bit of feeder tentacles are coming out. So what I'm going to do, and this is why you have to have your flow off. And then I'm just going to gently set a little bit of mysis in each one. What's going to have his feeder tentacles come out even more.
What is this?
And as we look back in them, you'll probably see the tentacles and them kind of closing in on it. So 3 of them have them.
You may have already mentioned it, Jess, but what is this extremely expensive feeding apparatus that you're using?
Oh, turkey baster. Thanksgiving's come up. I'm sure they'll be for like 50 cents. Get yourself a handful. They're great for feeding corals, feeding fish, blowing off your rock of dirt. Like,
if you have an aquarium, you have to have a turkey baster or 2 or 3.
yeah, they're a great investment.
It just gives you that little, it's great for feeding. Like you said, it's great for blowing out little crevices of the rock or like down in the sump or whatever.
Yeah, I use a turkey baster every day around here for feeding, and then around water changes or just having to clean a tank up. Like, it is your friend. So
I think we should get the filter because this is very blue tank.
where's the filter?
You want me to
Okay.
It's on the desk next to the computer.
Gonna put a filter on. I like the super blue, but it can be harder to see some of the stuff. So I'm waiting to see if this torch and stuff will go, but you can see a little shrimps trying to steal our Dunkin' food, of course. So you can put a little bit extra on each coral because you know the fish or someone's going to kind and take it. Everyone comes out when it's know it's feeding time.
There you go.
Oh,
Yeah, watch that Dunkin' for a second.
A little easier to see when we put the filter on there. Again, if you guys have questions, put them down below. We've
Generally,
got a
when you
little
feed,
Q&A here after we finish over at the aquarium.
yeah, so you're really going to leave your water off, and your pump and your flow off for quite a bit. You really want, for the most part, to have them all done eating if possible. Now, some corals will be slower than others, and you're like 30, 40 minutes later, they're not done eating. I just kick the pumps back on and just let them have whatever they have had. But we're going to let them stay off, let anything spot feed and take in that. When you kick everything back on, all the excess is going to float around and filter feed a lot of your other corals. In the meantime, we're going to go ahead and put in some new stuff that ORA sent us. They sent us a nice collection of things. You see
New
a big old
goodies.
box. All right, this came in today, so we've been waiting to put these in. Nice pack, because it's Florida, and it's still so hot during the day. All right, here we go.
If you guys have questions, put them in the comments below. We will try to get to them. If you have a question for the ORA, Waterbox,
Yep.
anything.
All right, I'm gonna run the grab here. All right, so we have a, this is from their Marshall Island facility. It's the yellow polyp sinularia, a nice leather coral. We love leathers. They give nice, fill in a lot of space. You can see the picture up there off the ORA website. Coral leathers are so easy. They come in such a variety of shapes and colors. I'm just gonna go ahead, here I'll just start on this side and just put them down in the front on the sand. Everything will get placed onto the rocks over the next few days. So leathers, they're all shrunken down right now. Like, you'll get nice and tall and kind of branchy looking.
Yeah, when the corals come out of the bags, they're not very happy. Give them a little while.
No. All right, we have the hyacinth, I can never say that, bird's nest. This is a nice big one. I like these because they're like super spiky of a bird's nest for this one.
Is it pink?
Yeah, they're like a
pinkish?
pinkish color, and they're just, their edges like could stab your finger.
They like a lot of flow, don't they?
Yeah, a lot of flow. You can see how the tips of them are like extra sharp. But they're extremely spiky bird's nest, fast growers. They have a bit of more of an open branching than others, but they do grow big and they can grow fast. So making sure they're in a good flow area so they stay healthy as they grow. We've got a meteor shower cyphestria.
Nice.
This is a classic.
Fast grower.
Fast grower. It encrusts the rock. Then adds a lot of pop of color to it. So kind of put it anywhere you just want nice colorfulness to just fill in between corals. Wherever you see it's got that blue, like teal background and super nice pink polyps. Going in there. Cyphactria is one of those things that every tank should have because they're a nice crusting coral. They have a lot of color for an encrusting coral too.
There's a lot of different color varieties. Of
Oh
those.
yeah, they've come out with so many more too. All right, so we have the Marshall Island Neon Green Elkhorn Matiapora. And this one self-fragged itself a bit on the travels. So we do have a loose branch, which I'll put him up on the rock just so he doesn't get lost. It's super bright. It's got a cool growth pattern. It's played a little bit, but also
It's a
branching.
monopora, you said?
Yeah, is it a staghorn?
Wow.
Yeah. I figure growth pattern and stuff can depend a lot on how the flow is and stuff of where they're grown. So you can have it grow in one pattern like this, but then it goes to a tank and it'll have more of a vertical. But nice color on that one for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know that I've seen that one before.
Yeah. All right, we have a Blue Lagoon acan. I love acans. We don't have any of those in here. And acans are another one that are great to spot feed. It's going to help them grow a lot. They can be a lot slower growers without it. And the color variety is insane. There's endless varieties of them. And this is a beautiful aquacultured one. You got green, you got blue, you got some like white in there. These guys get nice and fluffy. Nice variety. We got everything from softies to SBS going in from ORA. Oh, this is gonna be nice. Granulosas are one of my favorite SBS.
Yep.
They're
me
very
too.
cool. Their shape is different than others. This is the ORA Skyline Granulosa. And you'll see the growth shape and like the way their tips are is different than anything else. It makes them very unique looking. I don't think that's right. So you can see the top down color, you can see it's a lot of color. But like each one is kind of like a rounded nub to it. And it's like a lot of space in between the polyps. And as it grows, it's just like a very sleek looking
Yeah.
SBS coral. I'm not going to get him too close to the mushrooms. But it's got some really nice color.
It's a nice coral.
Yeah, it's a nice big piece too. ORA will hook you up, man, because they're aquaculture. They're grown out for a long time under natural sun. Like they have, I mean, generally you're getting some pretty nice sized pieces whenever you order from
Yeah,
them.
for sure.
Now that's a mini colony right there.
That's what I really like about the ORA corals is they're like frags of frags of frags, and they're grown out pretty significantly.
They're
Like,
not boogers.
Yeah, they're not shipping you corals that were fragged a few days ago. They're literally, quite literally, they've been growing in their greenhouse or in their mariculture for a while.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the size of all the corals that are in here, and we've only had this tank up and running a couple months, so like there's
Yeah.
only but so much growth that's occurred. They're all pretty big pieces. So we have the, this is from the Marshall Islands Mummy Eye Chalice coral. So you got here, Mummy Eye Chalice, blue and green. It's gonna be a really nice color contrast in here. And as you can see, it has that plating shape as it grows like a big old disc, which is great when you put it on like a ledge somewhere. We'll put it, somewhere like here where it can kind of fill out, and it just takes up a lot of nice space. And
I
nice
venture to
growth
say this
structure.
tank might be out of real estate by the time you're done here.
I know. Just have to find a way to add some more rocks. Or maybe not. I like it kind of. I'm gonna probably end up moving a lot of stuff around.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit of a change up on where things are, especially since we moved to this new tank and the rock is a little bit different. Kind of the vision of where things need to be has also changed.
Yeah.
Not to mention, there's some other things coming in here for next week.
Yes. Yes.
All right, we have the Ponape bird's nest. This one has a lot of nice color and is super spiky too. I like those little spiky bird's nests.
Is this the one with the purple polyps?
Yeah, it's got the yellow base.
It's one of my favorites.
You'll see here, really nice yellow base. And then the polyps have a darker color. The tips kind of have like a pinkish purple.
Yeah, the
But you can
growth
see,
tips.
again, like I could stab myself on these things. But it grows a lot, a very dense network of coral. I mean, I've had huge colonies of these and you can't see through it at all. It's just like so dense.
You gotta have a lot of flow.
This one will
that
for
to-
sure go very close up here to where that Nero, or we may add another second Nero in here.
Yeah.
Where that is blowing right through here, because if you have a lot of detritus and buildup that sits in here, algae starts to grow and it will kill your colony from the inside out. So really dense branches like that, you have to make sure you have enough flow. All right, we have a Marshall Island citrus lobophilia. Ooh.
Nice. I want to know, you guys in the comments, what your favorite ORA coral that we show today.
Yes, would love to know. So
I think mine's
citrus
going to be that
lobo.
Monopora, the one that I've never seen.
Yeah. Really cool lobo. It's an LPS is another one that's going to spot feed well with some mysis. Those little dots in the middle are actually their mouths. And those are 3 separate heads. Their skeleton just not separated. Running out of room. Meh. We'll put him. There you go. Nice big lobo. And he'll expand his flesh a little bit. Be kind of chunky looking. All right, we have German blue polyp Montiapora digitata.
Oh, there you go. That's another nice one.
This is a classic. This is one of the ones that's been with ORA a really long time.
I love those classics. They're my favorite.
Yep, those are the names that I know from back when I started in this hobby,
Yeah.
like 18, 20 years
Digitatas
ago.
were big. The orange ones that just grow like crazy.
But this was one of those that's been around for a while. Can't see too much because it's put his polyps in, but the polyps actually come out and have like this purplish blue hue to them. And it's a digi, so it's going to grow nice and branchy like. But he does not have his polyps out at all yet. All right, we got 2 more in here. All right, we have a Miami Orchid Stackhorn.
Ooh, that's a nice one. That's actually,
Yes.
they sent all my favorites today. I gotta say, that's actually one of my favorites, the Miami Orchid.
I feel like the Miami Orchid probably came out like, I'd say like 10,
Been around for a
probably
while.
10 to 8 years ago, something like that. So, Miami
fairly,
Orchid, really nice, like, it's this tall growing, nice, long,
They grow
spread
in
out
real nice. It's
branches.
one of those acroporas that you see where like the tank's filled in real nice with it.
Yeah, so that one's gonna go down here. I'm gonna have a lot of rearranging to do. Yeah, so I think with the size of a lot of these SPS that they sent, leaving that top low like we did, it's gonna look really nice because these big colonies are gonna go up on the
Yeah,
top.
yeah, for
And they're just
sure.
gonna have a lot of room to fill in. And then I'll have to make some areas that are like LPS and softy islands. So this is elephant skin coral. This is the last one.
Sounds sketchy.
Sounds sketchy.
Sounds illegal.
Oh. Came off his frag plug.
What kind of coral is it? Like
And
what species?
self-fragged.
What is the species from?
Pachyceras. Sounds like a dinosaur.
It's like the one that forms like a maze.
It does. So this is, grows a lot like a Montiapora. You can see it actually isn't too big. But it's got these ridges in it. Very cool looking. Like that detail is very unusual. So growth structure like a Montiapora. A lot more detail. It's like that nice minty green. I'm going to try and, I'm going to set this one just on the rocks just because it's in pieces and it doesn't have a frag plug that came off of it. So I'm just going to put those there until everything can get situated. But that is a killer around the coral right there.
Yeah, you're pretty full.
I am. So I'm going to have to work on that. Tomorrow, Friday, everything settles, everyone looks good. I'll go ahead and start moving things around and see where this all ends up.
I'm sure we'll do an update for that at some point, right?
Yeah, and then also, I mean, next week we will be looking at it again. We have some new stuff to add then, so we'll check in on how everyone's doing. But I'm sure there will be pictures, Instagram, all of that. So if you don't follow us on Instagram, you should. Lots and lots of posts and updates there, stuff that you're not going to see on the show, so it's definitely worth checking out.
I see that you guys are making friends in the comments.
Aw, that's
Very
nice.
good. Yeah.
As as
They're
you said.
discussing their aquariums. They're discussing the
I'm
ORA
losing my
corals.
voice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So these are some really nice stuff. Like I said, we'll settle them in.
Did we get some good questions? Yeah.
All right. It's question time.
Questions.
I need to regain my voice.
Questions. Punching the like button. Subscribing, hitting its best friend to the right, the notification bell.
And making best friends.
And making best friends, discussing dinner. I could go on and on with this.
We have a really long requirement for winning a shirt around here.
That is the currency to win these wonderful t-shirts that we're giving away today. So,
Oh man.
Infinitive Push says if you have high magnesium, will it affect some corals, like 1700 plus? That's pretty high.
1700 plus is high. It depends on how the corals react and how quickly you put it there. Because I know, and I don't know if it's still the thing, I haven't dealt with it in forever, but like bryopsis and stuff is a nuisance algae that's so hard to get rid of that is one of the only ways is to bring your magnesium up very, very high.
Yeah.
But even 1700 is a little high for that. So I honestly would do water changes to try and get that down no more than 1500. I think 1500 is still kind of pushing it for high.
Also,
for
make
an
sure you're-
every day.
Yeah. My other intuition is to say make sure you're testing correctly.
That's true, because getting to 1700, it takes so much magnesium to bring it up even a little bit. To get up to 1700, like I feel like you'd have like 10 gallons you had to dump into your thing. So check your test kit. If it is actually that high, do some water changes and bring it down.
Yeah. Jacob says, what's the longer striped fish called, I guess, in the tank?
So we have some yellow striped bunnies in there, and then we did also already did send us 3 bunnies to add to our crew, and it, man, I forget the name.
Go on orafarm.com.
Yeah, if
And go on a search.
is Donna in here? Have we seen Donna? Oh, okay. Yeah, they're a bunny. Oh, we'll update it and tell you which one it is. But they're like all black and blue, and then there's.
Striped bunny?
Huh? It's a striped bunny, but it's a
Just
certain
default
type.
to the striped
And
bunny.
then you've got the yellow-headed ones that are striped bunnies, and then these are all black and blue. So we have a crew of about 5 of them in there, and they're super adorable and very active. I just
Right
dropped the
on.
ball on that one.
It's all good.
Jeez.
Your knowledges are full. Like, Kat says, how frequently do you spot feed? Does it differ between coral types?
I think once a week is a pretty good general rule. Doing it more than that, I think you might overload the corals in like feeding and digesting. But you can definitely spread it out a little bit. Some corals do require it more. Gonioporas, I think you need to put some of the zooplankton type of food their way a couple times a week, but they're kind of the exception to that. Soft corals, you could pretty much almost never spot feed, and they would be happy on fish waste, nutrients, and light. But they will benefit from it. So the type of coral does make a difference, but I say as a general rule, once a week's a pretty good average.
Cool. Thank you, Kat. Tony says, do you spot feed trappies and scolies?
Yes, they need to eat a lot. They will reseed very easily if they don't have enough food. They're also very sensitive to lighting and stuff, but they're huge eaters. They'll eat chunks of krill. They'll eat chunks of silverside. I mean, you'll give them a chunk of silverside, and like suddenly they become this like triangle dome as they eat it because they just like bring up over it.
Yeah.
They will eat really well, and they need to. So those are the ones, if you have it once a week, no exceptions. Get in there and feed them something really nice and meaty like krill. Don't just settle on like small pieces of mysis or anything. Give them something really bigger size, and they'll be much happier. They'll be fluffy. They'll grow. I think that's part of the reason why trackies and scolies have such a poor survival rate in people's aquariums.
They don't feed them.
You see a lot of people saying, I can't keep them, I can't keep them. I think it comes down to feeding a lot of times.
Don't starve your corals.
Make them fat and happy.
Unknown says, wondering how many gallons that is. 4820 is the equivalent of a
It's 100,
110.4,
yeah.
so it's 110 total. One, I don't know, 70 or 80 gallon display, 110 total.
Yeah. There's some math up in that head right there.
That's what I made it appear like. I made it appear as if I was doing math. I really
It's like
was
I
just
just knew it.
thinking of the model that had the same footprint. Sauce says, How can you tell if you need to adjust amino acids? Sorry.
Souse.
Souse.
I can't even say it. It's hard to say because you can't test for it. So feeding too little, it depends. If it's SBS, you're going to notice like whitening, a little bit of bleaching, growth tips are light colored. If it is other corals, you might not know. Follow the general directions on the bottle. That's really the best you can do, kind of fine tune. Too many amino acids, generally you're going to have a spike in algae. So you're going to see a lot more nuisance algae coming up if you're overdosing amino acids.
Cool.
108 gallons.
108 gallons.
108 gallons. There you go. The Peninsula 4820.
Nice.
Kat says, which Carib Sea rock pieces are in this tank? Trying to decide what to get for mine.
Well, we have bundles.
Yes.
I believe this is the bundle with maybe like an added arch or something like that. So do check out our website. We have the bundles made for every model. So it's a good mix of arches, original, all that to make a really nice aquascape. And you can go back to the beginning of the ORA build because we do have an aquascaping episode in there, and I do lay out the pieces and we show some of me like going through the processes of aquascaping. So that might help you out a bit as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of information on our YouTube, a lot of videos of builds.
A lot of different aquascaping videos too. Jess is the aquascaping master. OS says, wow, when feeding my coral, my shrimp leave no coral food unturned. Can I put a LED over the coral when I'm feeding? Oh, an LED or a lid? A lid.
A lid. Yes, so you may have some shrimp. Cleaner shrimp tend to be like big butts about stealing the food, and they'll take like all of it. So, when you have certain fish that are like that too. If you do have corals and they're taking all the food, depending on where they're placed in the tank, it can be easier said than done, but you can take like water bottles or 2 liters or like juice bottles, clean them really well, cut off the bottom to where you can put that on top of the coral. And by having that opening, you can even put your turkey baster right in there and spot feed the coral with the lid on. And then you're gonna have less chance of them taking anything.
Nice. Sounds like that shrimp needs to be evicted.
It's just hungry, man. Or you can just hand them like a nice big chunk of krill, each of the shrimp, and they go run off.
Yeah, distract them. That's a great idea.
And distract them.
Luke said that I did quick maths. I like that. I like the plural with the knowledges, the maths.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Any thoughts on having just one MP40 on the back wall of the Marine X110, enough flow for LPS, or will I need a second before I add my corals?
I wouldn't put it on the back wall. I say Powerheads should always be on your sides because you're gonna get better cross flow. You don't need the flow from back to front to back. Your outlines are giving you that plenty, and it's a shorter distance. You got like 20 inches here, and you're having an MP40 shoot water at 20 inches. Not as good for the tank in general or good flow. You put it on the end, you have 48 inches that it's covering and giving some flow to. So I really never suggest, if you have got a single or double Powerheads, that they ever go on the back of an aquarium, always on the sides. But I think eventually you'll probably need a second one, but it is not something you probably need right away.
I have a lot of issues too, because that shorter distance, the sand blowing out and just.
Yeah, always on the side if you can.
What are your recommendations for? I knew you guys were going to laugh. What are your recommendations for acclimating new corals? They're laughing at me because they knew I wasn't going to attempt to read your name. I'm sorry.
I want you to. Come on.
Okay. Udec-arche.
Udec-arche? No.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it was more suave than I. Like,
You try.
no, I don't do names. All right.
That was great.
Technically, corals need very minimal acclimation. As you can see, they went from the bag into our aquarium. You can definitely be more exact than that and acclimate them with the drip acclimation, make sure their temperature's good, pH, all of that. I find that unless for some reason you run your aquarium very extreme, you're going to be pretty close to where you're getting your coral from. If you're buying from somewhere that knows what they're doing, ORA, a good coral shop, that kind of stuff, your levels can't possibly be that far off. Now, if you get them in and they're ice cold and your tank is warm, temperature acclimate. But I think the pH and all that stuff should be so close if you're running your aquarium properly that you don't have to worry too much about it. But if you want to, acclimate them for 30 minutes in a bucket, adding some water from the tank. Hello.
Act frozen. Hannah says, do you have to put the corals on the sand bed to help acclimate, or where's the best place to start them?
I put them on the sand bed because it's simple.
Yeah.
And like for here, like, you know, we just got in 10, 11 coral, and I'm not trying to figure out where I want them to go right now.
Right.
And if I just kind of place them on the rock and they're not permanently placed, I come in tomorrow and they're on the sand, one of them's gotten an injury, until I can fully dedicate the time to put them in a permanent place, make sure that's where I want them,
Yeah.
and see that they're happy in that spot. I put them on the sand bed, let them adjust to the tank, and then put them in their permanent spot within the next couple of days. You don't have to do it that way. And when we do it here, it seems to be the easiest.
Cool. Kat, you don't have to apologize for asking questions. That's why we're here.
It's not going.
Oh, it's not going.
All right, we got some technical slowness here.
All right. Recognize. Look at that.
Nice.
Do you
Okay.
run UVs on any system?
As a general,
Thank you for the assistance, Emily. I appreciate it.
She understands the YouTube lingo of names. I'm like, what?
She spotted it right away.
So as a general rule, no, don't run UVs on systems, especially reefs. It is good for fish onlys. And for very large reefs, I find them to be beneficial because if it's a large water volume, you have more fish. It's harder to really quarantine and treat those kinds of systems. They're not a necessity for aquariums. Also size them correctly and have the correct flow through. And just understand the pros and cons of a UV before you put them on.
Cool.
Last question.
All right, last one.
Last question. Ben says, I have a question. I have purchased 2 vertical water storage tanks, brand new. How would you recommend to clean them out before use? I'm afraid.
Oh.
Don't be
He said
afraid.
he keeps going with, I'm afraid there is mold release agent and just dust or dirt.
Okay, knowing where you got them from and being able to verify that they're not used with any chemicals would be the number one. You want them food grade.
Food grade, that's the big
Food grade
yeah.
is the thing because not all stored vats are considered the same. So you do, if you're not sure, reach out to the company, get verification, find out what you can, that there's not any chemicals like that because you can't clean them of that and they can be of a risk. So if you verified, okay, they're food grade, they don't have any of that in there. Generally you don't need to clean them, but just for dust, debris, kind of like the oil produced by production, rinse them out, a little bit of vinegar. Vinegar is your best bet. It's gonna kind of clean them gently, but it's not gonna be something that you have to worry about if any little bit was left in the water vat, that it could be dangerous like bleach. So vinegar, it's very fine. Even you can put vinegar into your tank directly if you really wanted to. Don't do it. But just say
Disclaimer.
you can. So rinse with vinegar and then just go ahead and use it.
Cool.
All right, good questions.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Good.
We appreciate
They're
that.
very active today.
Again,
Very,
one of
very
the
active.
currencies to win free stuff is questions.
That's good. If people want to win some shirts, obviously, very busy, busy, busy,
Yeah.
busy. All right, we have our shirt winners ready. All right, winners are
Bam, Luke Gifford, and the name of the day.
Yudi Shark.
You the shark.
Yudi. Yudi Shark, eh?
I know that you're
Congratulations.
here for us. We need the phonetic. Like,
Yeah, no, Keenan's
How
really
to-
good at that. Congratulations, email winners at waterboxaquariums.com. They'll get you hooked up with your Waterbox shirt. We really appreciate you guys being active and, asking lots of questions and answering questions for each other. It's great to see them. So much
Yeah.
communication going on in there.
Yeah, you guys are great.
Yep. So next week, I'm pretty excited about this. So the ORA build is getting clams. Clams. So it's all about clams next week. We're going to get some clams in. We're going to talk about clam care. They are a little bit specialized. Not everyone has great success with them. So we're going to kind of guide you to the proper way and adding some into this. If I can find room, obviously, at this point.
We covered this topic a long time ago, but it has been a very long time. We have never really gone in depth, so I'm excited.
It's probably been like 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this because this is a topic that you guys don't want to miss. Like, this is really, really cool.
Yep, and one of the best places to get clams for sure is ORA.
Yeah.
Aquacultured, they're healthy. You know, they don't have a lot of pests and issues that other clams can come in with. So definitely going to be an amazing episode, and I can't wait to see baby clams.
It's going to be awesome.
Awesome. We'll see you next week.
See you guys. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Remember, you can visit us online at waterboxaquariums.com.
We're live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for watching. See you next week.